Pricing strategies that win listings and close deals. Hello, everybody. Roxanne Govari with Pamberley Realty, along with my partner,
Santiago, nice to meet everyone.
Santiago. Santiago, how are you today?
I'm doing great, ready to learn something new and teach everyone something, something new, maybe that they might not know about or want to be a little bit more informed. So, looking forward to it.
All right. Well, let's talk pricing, right?
Yeah,
Let's talk pricing and let's talk strategies for pricing homes.
yeah,
And in San Diego in particular, and in any area in general, there are some psychologies that go with pricing a home that are universal. But in particular, if we're talking about San Diego, our market is basically comprised of different types of homes. So we have, and right now we're talking residential because commercial is a completely different animal. And even though we're also practicing and selling some commercial properties, it is not the main stock of properties that we handle. So let's go with residential homes and residential homes consisting of single family homes and condos. We can also talk about high rises, and we also can talk about multifamilies. And in this case, we're talking about multifamilies of two to four units, basically, because if you have one, then that's a single family, unless it's a townhome or a condo, right? And if you have then it becomes two units,
yeah.
all the way up to four units. Any idea why we wouldn't consider five units along the same line with two to four units?
Wouldn't that be already be considered commercial? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
So five units is already considered commercial. And any idea why we differentiate between a residential one versus a commercial one?
I would say that the commercial brings in like revenue, more revenue, I would guess, than a residential. I would say because you could have like rentals with the five, other than just four. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
That's a
Or you
good way
could
of
or you
looking
could
at
have
it.
like a business or something on on that unit or something like that. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Well, those are all good attempts,
Yeah.
and yes, you're right. You could have one be a business and the other
Yeah.
one being residential. But the main criteria for doing so is actually the fact that the government insures up to four units
I see.
as as residential.
Okay.
And because of that insurance that the government provides, those loans are ruled differently, and the lending on those loans are done differently. And essentially, because of the lending practices that are done differently, is what separates the residential from commercial.
I see.
So residential, you're basically lending on the borrower's income versus in commercial, you're borrowing on the income that the property makes, not so much on the income of the borrower.
Yeah.
So when you're lending based on the income of the borrower, you usually have a lot more leeway than when you are lending based on the income of the property.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot more
Uh,
sense.
so that's one of those reasons. And for the same reason, when you're dealing with a residential property, the pricing could differ because in residential settings, you can your pricing could be influenced by your emotions,
Yeah.
versus in commercial, your pricing is influenced strictly by numbers.
Yeah.
And when you get emotions involved, all of a sudden the prices could vary very differently, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like, show me the cup that you just were holding. Well, how much does that cup cost?
Probably like $10-15.
Okay. So my cup is really colorful, and it has lots of flowers on it, and I really love it. And how much are you willing to pay for it?
I mean, I'm not a big like flower guy, so I would probably pay like $5 for it.
Okay, well, I paid $15 for it,
Yeah.
and if you want it for $5, I'm not gonna sell it to you because I really like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the basic notion between a residential property and a commercial property. If I'm emotionally attached, then I either want a lot more money for it, or if you're emotionally attached, you're going to be willing to pay a lot more money for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the case with commercial, and then that's of course that it changes with people, person to person, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
one person could be more emotionally attached, one person could be less emotionally attached.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about one of the properties that we have up for sale right now, right? We have a product that a lot of buyers want, and it easily climbed up by over $20,000 because somebody, not just one person, but 4 or 5 set of people have gotten emotionally attached and have been willing to open up their wallets and pay more.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Yeah.
So, but in general, we usually go with comparables, and based on the comparables, we price a property, right? That's normally what you do. And so we talk about, let's talk a little bit more about the psychology of numbers. Have you ever heard of anybody saying anything about numbers and how the numbers work for them, or anything like that?
What do you mean by that question? Like, you mean sellers or agents themselves about numbers? Like,
I'll tell you what I mean by that. I actually saw this and I found it interesting the other day when I was looking. So let me pull it up and I tell you exactly what I'm talking about. I saw an offer that came in for one of our listings, and let me tell you what the number was on that. So the number that they offered on the place was $630,455.
yeah.
What? Don't you find that odd?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you offer $630,455?
I don't know, that extra $455.
I would argue that was their lucky number. They invested that extra $455 as their lucky number.
Yeah.
Right. So
I had a question. How would you go about, now that we're talking about pricing and some strategies when, you're having a listing, how would you go about, talking to your client about a certain price? Like if they're, they're thinking of a really high number and you want to say, this price is gonna, sell your home. How do you combat them and their, maybe inflated belief that their price is worth a whole lot more?
So let's role play on that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Santi, I believe that your house is worth $500,000. Now, I'm only depending on how much I'm going to be charging for a commission. Let's say if I'm charging 3%. Let's say if we agree to that you're going to pay me 3% for selling your home. That means I own 3% and you own 97% of the home.
Yeah.
So with my mere 3%, I'm never going to dictate to you what your house is worth. You're in control. You're the owner, and you know the neighborhood a lot better than I do. You know your neighbors' houses a lot better than I do, and that's what we're comparing. Comparing your house to your neighbors' houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in my opinion, with the knowledge that I have and with the research that I've done, I determined that the house is worth 500,000. At the end of the day, you're the owner. You're the one that is selling. You're the one that's profiting 97%. You're the one that is going through the trouble of selling. So the decision is yours.
Yeah.
What do you think your property is worth?
Let's say I think my home is worth 570 or 550.
570 or 550. Okay. Well, now the timing really is important in terms of how much you put your house on the market for.
Yeah.
Okay. In the past, like let's consider during COVID. During COVID era, houses were appreciating very quickly, and since people needed to work from home, houses were in high demand because people needed space in the home. They couldn't go to their offices, and that made homes really, really valuable. So if you told me put it up for at 570, I want to get 570, I would tell you let's put it at 590 because you probably will get it because the market is such that you can demand more and you can get more. Right now, we're not in that kind of a market. So we're now more of a, supply and demand speak a lot to pricing a home. Right now, we're not in a high demand type of a market. So if you're saying that you want 570 and market value is at 500,000, I am going to strongly suggest to you that you list the home at 500,000.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense.
But ultimately, you're the owner, you're the decision maker. So if you decide to go in at 500,000, great. If you decide to go in at 570, again, against my professional advice, you're deciding to go in at 570,000. I now need to make that decision of whether or not I'm willing to work with you on that price of 570,000, and then we can move forward and either work together or not.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
And do you think if you have it at 500,000, will it bring in more traffic to the home, or could it eventually go up to a higher price?
It's a precarious market right now, right? You could be bringing more, and you could not be bringing more because there's not that many buyers out there. So if the market is so soft that all you can hope for is one offer, then multiple offers probably are not going to be created for them to push up the price to a higher number.
Yeah.
Right? So, but at the same time, the cost of keeping a property on the market is also something to consider, right? So if you have a mortgage to pay every month, right? Let's say the between the two numbers of 500,000 and 570,000, right? So let's say you go in at 500,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get an offer, and let's say we get lucky and we sell the place. We get lucky and we sell the place. We get two offers, and we are able to push up the price to $520,000, right? So now we are short by $50,000 out of the 570 that you wanted, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you get 520,000, and you get them to agree to a 21 escrow. So in 21 days, you're not going to go into another month of having to pay mortgage, insurance, HOA fees, you name it, all the costs
Yeah.
that are involved, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's say your monthly cost is about $10,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And let's say we've seen a scenario of similar situations where we went on the market and we priced it well, and we went on the contract right away, and the competition, which was exactly the same, was on the market for 111 days. I'm thinking of the one that I'm thinking was on the market for 111 days, which is roughly about 3.5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3.5 months at $10,000, that is $35,000,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So right there, there's $35,000 that you would be incurring in cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, let's say after you're on the market for 3.5 months, there's still no guarantee that you're going to end up with 570,000.
Yeah.
Versus if you're selling at 520,000 and you're saving yourself that $35,000 that you don't have to pay out of pocket for staying on the market for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
There you're almost at the 570 that you originally wanted to get.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense,
right?
Yeah.
So
that's pretty consistent.
These are some of the other I would say thought processes that sellers need to consider if they're thinking about overpricing their homes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What other points or questions are you thinking that we could be discussing with our audience?
Well, I mean, I know basically to close deals, pricing is very important, and just how we were talking about being able to convince your seller or talk to your seller about the right price is something very important. Maybe another question that I have is, how can you go about when you receive only one offer? How can you, or better yet, if you have no offers, how are you able to, I don't know, push the property or help out in a way, and so that you don't lose your listing that you already have with your seller?
That is a very, very good question, right? Because sometimes, let's say in the same scenario, you thought that $500,000 was market value, and the seller accepted, and you went on the market for $500,000, and then you sit and it's crickets. Nothing is happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the good news is the market is now telling you that $570,000 would have also been too much, right? Because even at $500,000, you still are not getting any traction.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So then what needs to happen? Then what needs to happen is you need to go back and look at other comparables and see how long they have been sitting on the market, right? You need to go back and look at the solds and see how long did the average look like for those homes to go under contract, right? And then you can say, okay, the average home took 20 days for it to go under contract. So let's wait and let's basically market the property and keep on working on trying to find a buyer for 20 days or maybe 15. Let's be proactive. And for 15 days, market the property constantly and try to find a buyer. And then once you get to day 15, if you still are not getting any traction, then it's time to think of a price reduction, because anything at the right price will sell. There is always buyers and sellers in the marketplace, and there's always transactions to be had, right? So if at $500,000 by day 15 you have no activity, what would you have to do at that point?
Yeah, the price reduction. Yeah.
You have to do a price reduction. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically what you have to do, and I call it strategic price adjustments, and it's a fancy way of saying you have to reduce the price.
Yeah.
Right. And every time you reduce the price, you are basically putting the property in front of buyers that are action ready and they're ready to go. And if that's what it takes, then let's do it, right? So and when you are reducing the price, you're also giving yourself the opportunity to do a whole new campaign around the property, and expose the property more now that you have had a refresher with price. So that's always an opportunity, and a way to get the place sold. And at the beginning of our session, we talked about the emotions that are involved in this. And the emotions that are involved are also involved in the lifestyle choices that a seller makes. So if, let's say, you are selling the home because you want to move from California to Tennessee, right? And right now your life is on hold because you're just waiting, and nothing's happening. But if you release that emotion, and you let go of the property, and you're able to move on with your life, and start basically at the other end, you basically start producing and moving on with your life. That by itself will generate new money, new income, new energy that will make things happen. And that $70,000 that you were missing, you're going to end up making at the other end.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, those are great points.
All right. Excellent. Well, let's reach out to our audience and thank them for joining us today. And audience, if you are seeing us on YouTube, we really appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and give us a like, because the more likes that you give us, the more you are going to help our algorithm rise and more people be able to watch our program. So please give us a like, and also subscribe to our channel, so that as we're posting more videos, you're able to get more of what we are putting out there. And also comments. We really appreciate your comments. They mean a lot to us. So put out your questions, your comments. If you're seeing this on Facebook, also please comment, so that we can look at your comments, and we can speak to your comments, and that way our program is more engaging. And if you are planning on buying or selling or relocating, you can reach out to me. There's my phone number, and of course my partner Santiago. There's his phone number. You can reach out to him as well. We also like to hang out on Facebook, and there's the handle, and on Instagram as well. That's our Instagram handle. If you're trying to reach out to us on our website. There is our website, and also you can reach us on email. And remember that we are selling property in San Diego as well as anywhere in the U.S. So reach out to us regardless of where it is that you're trying to transact, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. And we appreciate you watching today.
Thank
Make
you
it
so
a
much, everyone.